What's up, guys? We're back. It's been a while. I know we just put out a video last week, but we recorded that like over a month ago. Yeah, we're going to listen to Rush 2112. We're going to do things a little bit different. We're not going to do a video after this where we might still learn songs off this album, but we're not going to record it anymore because it's becoming just too much work for me. So yeah, I guess let's start. It's 2112 with 1976.
Yep, came out in, I don't remember what month, but yeah, 1976. This one was the follow-up to Caress of Steel, which was a huge bomb, I guess, on the charts for him. But, I mean, in my opinion, though, Caress of Steel was a really good album. It's got a couple of really solid ones, Necromancer, Bastille Day.
Yeah.
And this album was a response to, I guess, the record company kind of pressuring them to put some kind of popular stuff out.
And this was supposed to be like their last big hurrah before they figured they were going to get dropped.
Yep.
And ended up being a huge success.
Oh, yeah. Because they put their heart and soul into this, and they put a lot of energy into it. Yeah, and they just stopped caring. I think this is really the album where this band really came into their own and became what everybody knows as Rush. Yep. So,
let's start it. I don't know which one to start. Not that one. Not that one. It's that one. I can't see it. Just so you know, I'm not retarded. I'm just can't see it.
And right there on that first note, you know you're in for something here because you don't hear that really that often. Right at the beginning of an album is just something like that draws you in.
Especially back then. If you listen to bands more like Muse, like I don't know if Rush was an influence of them. I can imagine they probably were, but they do like stuff like that all the time. I don't know. There was one song that stood out to me on that, and I was like, that sounds like Rush. And I was like, you should listen to that. But what's cool is, like, they're also a three-piece, and they also do these huge, like this band, they have these huge orchestrations and just a lot going on for three people. And when you watch them live, it's amazing how, like, they do mostly everything still. It's not, like, I'm sure they use backing tracks, like, later in their career, but, like, Geddy Lee, he was, singing, playing bass, playing keyboards, doing... Like, I don't know, did they do any like sound manipulation? And then I'm sure he did most of that.
Yeah, they did.
And he had pedals and just hands and voices and fucking guitars on stands that he was playing, and he was just always like 1,000 things at the same time. It seemed like. And
a lot of it was triggers and stuff like that. They'd have trigger samples, especially Neil Peart. Like that one's amazing to hear. Like if you've ever heard any of his live drum solos and stuff like that. A lot of that's trigger sampling, and I know a lot of the end part of a lot of his drum solos, it'll be like big band and shit like that, and he'll be playing drum along with it. It's because he's hitting trigger samples. So.
Yeah, Neil Peart was the shit, man. Rest in peace.
Yes.
And this I bought, like I've always loved Rush. I didn't really get into vinyl until not too long ago, and I bought this one the day he died because I was like, they're gonna sell out, and I got to get one before.
Yeah.
So I bought this the day Neil Peart died. And I was kind of pissed when I got it because the corner of the sleeve is bent.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever. It kind of makes it look vintage, I guess.
And it's an old record. I'm sure... I don't know if this one... I don't know how many times this was repressed or anything.
This one was brand new. This came out... This was pressed in like 2020.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that.
Oh, I was going to say, I would imagine it being Rush and they keep on reissuing the same albums... Which, that's actually kind of a funny talking point. Have you seen any of their new reissues where they change the album covers on all of them?
Yeah, some of them are kind of cool.
Yeah, like, that's what I thought. Like, at first, I was like, I don't know if I like it, but then looking at it, I'm like, it's actually kind of cool. It's nice that a band has the courage to do that.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, no, we got to keep 2112 the way 2112 was.
Yeah, Pink Floyd tried to do that, didn't they? But what was it? It was Dark Side of the Moon, but it wasn't even like the same music. It was completely different, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did a bunch of remix. And
there was just what the fuck? Like I
didn't care for it, but at the same time,
it was kind of
interesting.
It was like acid rock for like the new age, I guess.
Yeah.
New acid heads, stoners. I don't know what you call them.
See, now
and then this solo in the beginning.
I was gonna say it's for all the haters out there that always talk about how everybody always talks about Geddy Lee and how good of a bass player he is.
Nobody ever talks about
Alex.
He was the shit. He is still the shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're gonna do it or not, but there's rumors going around that they might be going back on tour with another drummer.
That would be cool.
I don't know who they would get. Like I know they've talked to Dave Grohl and he turned him down. I want to say they talked to Danny Carey from Tool.
That would be really good. I think he'd be the best fit probably of all the progressive drummers out there.
Yeah,
Mike Portnoy.
I'm
maybe.
sure they've talked to Mike Portnoy, and I think he would probably be the best fit.
Right.
But just getting back with Dream Theater and all that, I just don't think he'd do it.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Mangini, I guess, if that's the case. But I mean, really, I could see Portnoy doing it. I mean, he's always in his entire career, he's always done that. He'll just do side project after side project. So,
I thought this sounded a little low. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty close to the regular speed, and Geddy Lee's voice sounds about right, which nobody likes.
It's such a great album, man. This is just one of those ones that's cemented itself probably the minute it came out in rock and roll history, and it cemented itself in a lot of people's like hearts. I know it sounds cheesy, but
right. Well,
it's such a great fucking album.
Right, because I mean, the two albums that everybody thinks about when you say the word Rush, everybody always thinks about 2112 first, probably, and then Moving Pictures.
Well, I think most people think about Moving Pictures because most people, their first thought is Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a lot of people that know Rush don't know like a lot of their songs. You know,
and
it's
I would
kind
imagine
of the same thing with like Pink Floyd. How like people The Wall or Brick in the Wall, and the whole first side is 20. I think it is like 22 minutes long.
Yeah, like it was kind of interesting because it's like kind of near 2112 for the time. Like I thought that was kind of an interesting.
I think it's 21 minutes and like 30 seconds or something like that.
And for those of you that might not know, I'm sure everybody knows this about this first side of the album, but this is a retelling of Ayn Rand's Anthem.
Well, no, it's not Anthem. It's not Anthem. It's. I thought that was weird too, but they said that it's her other book.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ayn Rand, her shit's pretty much the same message on every single book.
What's the one book that it's?
It could be Fountainhead.
Is it Fountainhead? What's the other one?
Atlas Shrugged.
I don't know. They didn't. It's not Anthem. I know it's not Anthem.
Right.
They've said that on record before.
Okay.
But yeah, the message is almost the stories are almost exactly the same.
Right.
So yeah, it's. Read Anthem too.
Yeah.
That's a great book.
And I would probably say too, I mean, about this first side of the album, I think the music really kind of helps capture the story really well too. You know, like it kind of goes along with and has the same mood and atmosphere as what the story is. So
yeah. And the first time I heard this part of this, because usually like I've only heard the overture.
Yeah.
You know, until I listen to the album, and like I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right, it's like an outtake or something
Some
as you're trying to tune it up.
Yeah, like what the fuck.
And I think too, I mean, going back to the beginning of this video when we're talking about it was like their this was their like big like last hurrah before they got canceled by the record company. I don't think they could have picked a better subject matter to write about and to make an album about than that, because angry against the masses.
Yeah, and at the time that was such a big thing in society.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it got a lot of traction back then and why it did really well. And I mean, you could thank this album for the rest of their whole career.
I think so.
Otherwise, they probably would have hung it up. And didn't one of them work? They were like, it worked in a meat packing plant or something like that.
I'm not sure. I know they all had some weird ass jobs and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I could see that.
Musicianship, I don't think it's their best album. I think an album as a whole, I think it's their best album.
I think so
personally, but I think musicianship, man, I don't know, the one with was it Hemispheres?
Yeah.
The one with Livia Strangiato on it? Yeah. I think that's probably musically their best album.
And I would agree.
I really like Moving Pictures too. Like there's a lot of their B-sides are really good.
Oh yeah.
And like I don't think Witch Hunt was really like a hit or a single, but that album or that song
it's heavy
awesome.
as fuck.
I love that song. I like not the whole song, like the chorus is kind of
it's kind of cheesy.
But the verses are fucking crazy. That his guitar tone.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit for Rush. Oh my god.
And that's a Strat. If not, I think he used the Strat.
Or was that when he started going with PRS?
I was gonna say I don't think he used PRS just yet. I think he was on a Strat, but then I think on that song he was layering a Strat over a Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
his guitar tone was fucking sick. It had a lot of low end and a lot more gain than they normally use. Even on that album, there was a lot more gain than anything on that album.
Oh yeah. Well, and that too. He started really going into using like chorus, delay, and all that kind of stuff. So it really thickened the tone heavy.
Yeah, that might be what it was.
Yeah, because I mean, before that, like on Permanent Waves, he was using like his ES335, and I think he just put reverb on it. I don't think he put anything special except for like here and there he'd put like a weird ass like flange effect on it, like on like little tiny tidbits of each song. But for the most part, no, it was just naked with reverb. And then before that, like on this album and Farewell to Kings, it's just straight guitar. I mean, it's like there's really not a whole lot there except reverb. Yeah, I mean, this part, like when first time I heard this album, when it came to this part, it was like, all right, I kind of see what's going on. It's really cool. It's starting to build up in intensity a little bit. And then after that, yeah, some of these parts in the song get really intense, real fast tempos. Oh yeah, I guess I misspoke. He did use wah pedal an awful lot back in the early days.
But yeah, not knowing what to expect when the next part comes, it just kind of, for the time, it was just kind of mind-blowing.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why I just like progressive rock as a whole, because it does. I mean, it's like modern progressive rock. Well, I guess it's progressive metal. I don't think there's really any bands that you would call progressive rock. Maybe Tool.
I wouldn't even call this progressive rock. Rush, sure, but not this album. This is just a good fucking rock album. You know?
But yeah, it always, like, progressive albums, they always tell a story. They always got a lot of different changes in it. Sometimes they're a little inflated and bloated. Like, I mean, listen to some Dream Theater albums, you'll know what I'm talking about. But, like, they'd like to throw time signatures in and that don't really need to be there in some cases. But I think Rush was one of those bands where they really used that very well and was very seamless, and you really don't even notice.
Continuity error. Incoming.
I really think too, though, I mean, because I'm just going to be honest here, a lot of my guitar learning, like, really came from trying to learn Rush songs and stuff like that. One of the coolest things about Alex Lifeson's guitar technique is the type of chords he plays. It's just a lot of open strings up top.
They were a progressive band, but at this point, I don't think so. They were just playing good rock music, you know? And when they came out, they were, everybody thought they were new Led Zeppelin music, you know?
Well, that too. Like, I find it very amazing too that they got their start on a radio station in Cleveland. Like, you'd think that they would have gotten huge in Canada, which is, you know, their native country and all. No, I mean, they were real big in Cleveland first, and then spread throughout New York, and then from there, I mean, once this album came out, the rest is history. But
back then, Cleveland, they always got the new shit first, which is kind of crazy. They were like the rock town.
Yeah, and you know, now when you think about it, it's like Cleveland, but back then, I'm sure it was a whole different story. I mean, I'm sure it was. Well, I mean, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's there, so I suppose. But I think this cool part about this suite too is it goes. Like, it kind of blends a lot of, like, really soft, quiet stuff and, like, real heartfelt kind of music. And then, like, this is a perfect example of this segment where it just, like, it's just, I don't know.
His voice might be kind of high and shrill, but
I mean, if...
It sounds so fucking good. And whether you like his voice or not is a different story. There's a lot of people who don't like his voice, but you can't say he's not a good singer.
No, I mean, he's a great singer. He matches pitch great.
Perfect. And he's got a good amount of vibrato without being over too much.
Right. And I'm telling you, if you guys really want to hear Rush at their best, and if you can't stand Geddy Lee's voice and all that kind of stuff, I really say you should listen to some of their stuff from the 90s, because it does. I mean, like, his voice is a lot more tame. I mean, the music doesn't suffer.
Got a lot more tame too, though.
Right, that's true.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of their 90s stuff. I was alright with doing Counterparts and listening to that. That was okay, but...
Right.
I don't know. Their shit in the 70s was so much better.
Oh, I agree, 100%. But that's because, you know, I don't mind his voice, so I mean...
Yeah, and if you can get past it, it's fucking great music.
And then otherwise, I think, the best of both worlds would be Permanent Waves, because Permanent Waves, his voice was a lot more tame, but the music was still right on point with what was going on, like, around this time, so... Well, I mean, it's hard to believe, but that album only came out, like, 3-4 years after this one did.
Yeah, they came out with one almost every year back then, didn't they?
Yeah, they sure did. There was a point where there was more albums than they were a band for years. I mean, it was like, I think they had like 10 albums and they were only a band for 9 years at one point.
Yeah, because they put out 2 in 1 year.
Yeah.
And even Signals, I don't know, I don't hate that album either, but I think that was the album where they started to kind of lose my interest.
Yeah.
There's too much keyboard and synth and stuff, and I wish they would have just stayed being a rock band, but I mean, just like any other... I guess any other band really that's been around for that long, they want to do something different.
Right.
And I get it, but just for me, just wasn't for me.
Right, and that's the unfortunate thing too at that time was, yeah, every band wants to try something different, but unfortunately disco was kind of starting to, it was kind of on its way out, but it was still kind of popular at the time. So that's, hey, let's try putting these kind of beats in and these kind of rhythms, and I'm like, please don't. I can't stop staring at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we said that before the fucking SD card got full. There's a hologram in the middle, and it's the star and it spins while the record turns. It's really cool. I'm gonna try to take a video of it and see if I can get it.
The longer you look at it, like the one that's furthest away from you, it's like migrates its way closer to the middle of the thing. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just weird.
And I don't know how it looks from your perspective, but it's like the one right across from me is like a hologram. Like it looks like a foil card or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Anyway, yeah, Passage to Bangkok. This is a song that kind of really got me into Rush. Like it just kind of changed my mind or opened my eyes to them more, I guess.
Again, everybody talks about the 2112 suite and everything, and then Passage to Bangkok, but I'm telling you, the songs on this side of the album, they're worth listening to. And in my opinion, there's really not a bad one on this side. Tears is kind of weak, but other than that, the rest of this album is amazing.
And Tears is still a good song if you're in the mood for something slow and sad.
Right. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's a solid, like, just 70s hard rock album, I mean, on this side.
Foo Fighters did a performance.
Yeah.
And I think Dave Grohl, they came on stage with him, I think.
Yeah,
right?
they did. Because I want to say Foo Fighters started 2112, and then the rest of the members came out.
Yeah, it was really cool. Dave Grohl's such a humble motherfucker, but I think he should do it.
I think so.
He's a good drummer. Like, he's gone on record to say that, like, most of his career he's ripped off a lot of drum beats. Like, the whole, like, Nevermind, Nirvana Nevermind. The beginning of Smells Like Teen Spirit he ripped off from... I can't remember the band specifically, but a lot of his drum beats are R&B. If you slow it down, it's just straight up R&B or like disco.
Well, and to be
honest, that's what it was. He said it was disco. He ripped it off from some disco group, not R&B.
Okay,
but yeah,
the straight ahead rock beats and stuff like that too. I mean, that's what makes rock is it's a driving beat.
Yeah. This is probably my favorite song on this album, Twilight Zone. I love this song. It's so weird.
Yeah, I would say it's probably one of their more creative songs for sure. And it's
plus got those lead harmonies.
Yeah, which you didn't hear too much back then. I mean, they were there, but it was usually they would just hard pan the leads somewhere, and they wouldn't really double it. And it's like, okay,
this song sounds like it should have been on like one of their earlier records. Like, it almost sounds like it should. I know this was really early on already, but it sounds like it should have been on like Fly By Night.
Yeah, this sounds Fly By Night-ish. Ooh, that was cool. See, and Alex Lifeson did shit like that.
He did those pinch harmonics back then when, like, not a lot of people, if anybody, was doing them.
Yeah, and I can really see, too, like, a lot of guitar players later on, like, a lot of the heavy metal guitar players, where they would take inspiration from guitarists like him or, Tom Scholz.
Yeah.
I really like this song. Like, it's such a good, feel-good song.
It's just a good rock song.
Like, there's not a whole lot to it, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just good old 70s hard rock. It kind of sounds like an allergy medicine commercial, though. I will admit it.
Yeah, you can definitely hear it. Or like boner pills.
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor about getting a stiff erection today. Seriously, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ. And then it comes in sweet memories. Oh, my God.
Oh, shit. Rush writes songs about boner pills.
Well, they had to get them from somewhere.
They're old enough. They probably need them now.
Well, yeah. And this is another example, though, too, with this album, too. It's all sweet and innocent at the beginning, then all of a sudden, right here, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
This song sounds like Styx.
A little bit.
Did this come out? This was right around the same time as Pieces of Eight.
Yeah, I think it was like within a year or so.
Another one that's weird is that, and they toured together a lot, was Kiss. And
yeah, they toured with Kiss.
Detroit Rock City came out the same year as this, and they're completely fucking different sounding records. And I would honestly say that, like, Kiss is kind of, I don't know if they were really considered metal, but they were considered one of the heavier bands. And this album might be a little bit heavier than Destroyer.
I think so. I mean,
not Detroit Rock City. Sorry, I meant Destroyer.
And even then, though, Destroyer.
That's a good fucking album too.
I was gonna say, I think, man, because I don't know for sure, but can you imagine a tour where there's Kiss, Destroyer, and 2112 both on the same bill, I mean, that would be fucking killer.
Yeah. Because really, the only song that I think would be heavier than this on that album was God of Thunder.
Yeah, God of Thunder
or
is pretty
maybe
heavy.
Detroit Rock City. But the rest of it, like, shouted out.
Yeah, I mean, that was just pop metal. Well, I guess if you want to call it metal for 76, but
yeah, that album was fucking good too. I went through a pretty big Kiss phase when I was in high school. I don't know what his guitar tone is though. It's so thin.
It is.
I don't like it. That's the only criticism I have about this whole album is his guitar tone is just super thin.
Very thin, which gets me too because he was playing Les Paul. He was real big on it at the time, and
yeah.
I don't know. Like they must have just not had the kind of amps you need to get all you can get out of it.
If you listen to it live, it sounds completely different. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that, like, especially back then, people hated recording Les Pauls because they had such a thick tone,
right?
And they had to dial out all the low end,
right?
So I think that's what gives it that really thin tone, and a lot of Les Pauls back then sounded like that.
Oh yeah, and that makes sense because like when you listen to the rhythm parts on that song in particular too, it's a little more full. Like it's got a little more mid in it, and it's a little bit
especially like recording to like tape and analog, and it brings in even more warmth.
Right.
So they had to dial out a lot of low end. I think I could be wrong, but that's my thought on it.
See, it's funny too because my biggest gripe on this album is the fact that because you can hear the bass, but it's not as prominent as later albums for them, and it's to me it's a little disappointing because that's one of the reasons why you listen to Rush is because Geddy Lee. Say what you want about him as a singer and everything, he's a damn good bass player.
Yeah,
I mean,
nobody's arguing that.
Right.
If you're arguing that, you're just wrong.
Right, because I mean, like when you have like the likes of Cliff Burton saying that, you know, you're one of his influences, and yeah, you must be pretty good.
Not even just Cliff Burton, like every bassist that plays rock and metal, and even probably not even just that. Everybody cites him as one of their huge influences. I think they're very well balanced as a band, and I think that's what made them so great is they're all really good. And I think having like Alex Lifeson in there, who's, you know,
he's very creative,
he's very underrated, and I think that kind of makes it not so like, I don't know, like how you say like Dream Theater after Mike Mangini came in, it just sounded kind of robotic. I think that kind of, if they had a guitarist that was better than Alex Lifeson, I think that'd be the problem. Would have lost its soul a little bit. Alex kept him grounded. Yeah,
and I'm sitting. That's exactly how I would put it too, because he's he just wanted to play rock music. That's where he was at, and I think of the three of them, he was the only one that had that like rock star mentality where it's like you just want to go out there, you want to do a show, and you want to have a good time. But even then, you still got to have talent to do it. I mean, you can't just go up there and wank around on the guitar and think that you're going to have a career.
Yeah, there was a Rush documentary I was watching, I think it was. And they were talking about when they were on tour with Kiss.
Oh, yeah.
Back then, and they were like inviting them back to their room to party with them and with girls and stuff. And they're just like, no, we're just going to go back to our room and read.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, they were just such like nerds back
dorks.
then. They were just, they'd smoke pot and read fucking Ayn Rand and science fiction.
Well, I think I think for me personally, though, I think that's kind of a reason why I latched onto this band as hard as I did too, because I was exactly the same way. I mean, I wasn't like rock star material. I wasn't a jock. I wasn't super popular or anything. But then when I see a band like this and the members looking the way they do and behaving the way they are, it gives me hope. You know, it's like, you know, I can play the guitar and I don't have to be some like crazy, you know, out there kind of person either. You know, so. You know, I think for people like that, this is the kind of band that they can really latch on to. Yeah,
it's funny because people kind of associate learning, you know, wanting to play guitar with like trying to be popular and stuff like that. Like, it's girls. Funny with us because like we're like the exact opposites. Like in that, like you started playing guitar because you wanted to learn. Yeah, and I started playing guitar because I wanted to be cool.
Yeah, right.
You know? Right. And then like I ended up just really liking it.
Right. Yeah. This song though, I mean, I'll admit, in my opinion, is the best song on the album.
This is really underrated song. This was the only one Geddy Lee wrote the lyrics in, I think.
No, that was Tears. This one, I don't know who wrote the lyrics. Geddy Lee might have wrote the lyrics on this. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure Geddy Lee did write the lyrics on this one because I think Neil Peart wrote all the rest of them.
Okay.
I don't think he wrote Tears. I think Geddy Lee wrote this. It's always the ones to me in the early days, the ones that the lyrics were a lot cheesier, were the ones that Geddy Lee wrote.
Right. And I know Alex Lifeson wrote the lyrics to Lessons. That's the only song he's ever written the lyrics to for any Rush album.
That's probably why it's Tim's favorite. That's what I kind of like about the second half of this album is like every song sounds like it could have been on a different album. Like this sounds like it should have been on their first album.
I think so.
Maybe even Corrosive Steel. There is a documentary about them. I can't remember if it's on Amazon Prime or if it's on Netflix, but look it up. It's really good.
It's a really good. I mean, any of those.
What's it called? I can't remember.
Beyond the Lighted Stage?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know this. The only original member that remained from this band all the way through its entire history was Alex Lifeson.
Yeah.
Geddy Lee was not original. I think it was Jeff Jones was his name.
He didn't do anything with them.
No.
But
and then, of course, they had John Rutsey first. So, the only original member from Rush that stayed throughout the entire career was Alex Lifeson. Yeah, isn't that such a 70s thing to do, though, in the end of a song, is do that...
The fade out.
Yeah, that fade out and that double bend.
Yeah, I do that in a lot of my songs.
Yeah.
Maybe I get it from that.
This album, like I said, I kind of go back and forth between a few of their albums. Which one I prefer the most. I'm not going to say best, because to me, with music, there should be no best ever. Like, there is no... Like, you can't quantify that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always a matter of opinion. Music's an art. It's not a science or a mathematics.
Yeah, it's opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's why music can be kind of controversial, because there's so much opinion in it.
But in my opinion, yes, this is probably one of their top 3 albums that they've written. And again, you have several albums to pick from this band, and I don't know, like, to me, I would put it in my top 3 easy. It's a very important album for them. It's groundbreaking for rock as a whole, I think. And
I mean, personally, I've already said it. I think this is their best album, like, as a whole. I think this is, for me, it's up there with the greatest rock albums of all time.
I think it should be. I mean, easily in the top 50, in my opinion.
For me, it's easily in the top 5.
Yeah.
Great record. Really good. Yeah, so that was Rush, 2112. I mean, we've said it 1,000 times. The album's fucking great. And
oh yeah, it's definitely a classic for sure.
Definitely listen to it. I know it's kind of hard to hear it on here. I'm trying to figure it out, and I was going to do it today, but I don't have the right cables to plug it in to the computer. So next week we're going to listen to Will the People by Muse. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys, have a good week.